Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the World Coffee Conference organized by the International Coffee Organization in collaboration with the Coffee Board of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of Karnataka, and Government of India. We have our very next session, which is a very interesting workshop about cooperative venture in India. 19 steps to fetching a cupping score of 91 points, seed to cup journey. The workshop will cover the journey of ARAKU coffee from seed to cup, from its history in the ARAKU region to its transformation through regenerative agronomy. Mr. David will discuss the 19 steps to scoring 91 points, and Mr. Sumanth will present on ARAKU Coffee Bangalore, focusing on its sustainability and unique experience. He will also discuss barista training, roasting protocol, and a tasting session of micro lot sampling. I would now request Mr. David Hogg to please come on stage. He is the Chief Agriculture Advisor of Nandi Foundation's Livelihoods Division. With over 50 years of experience in India, Mr. David grew his first coffee in the Palanis back in 1984. During his time in India, he has been appointed to the Indian Coffee Board Advisory Council for the Palani region. Since 2004, served as a co-director of the Basil Academy in Mysore and has acted as a consultant for esteemed organizations such as SRTT, IFAD, and FAO. Beyond his expertise in coffee, David has a special interest in applying regenerative organic principles to various fields of agriculture with a focus on developing sustainable coffee production protocols in India to ensure product quality. Since 2005, he has closely collaborated with Nandi and ARAKU Originals Private Limited to develop an appropriate regenerative agronomy for the ARAKU region, aiming to ensure profits for small farmers while producing specialty coffee that would do India proud on the world quality coffee map. The revolutionary approach known as ARAKUnomics has now become a blueprint for sustainable agricultural development. Welcome, Mr. David. Over to you, sir.
Hello?
Yeah.
Working?
Good evening, everybody. Everybody can hear me? Yeah? Welcome to this session. It's a pleasure to come here. I just want to express my deepest appreciations to the Coffee Board and to the organizers of this conference. It's been a fantastic event, and I think it's facilitated a very great deal of interest in Indian coffee, and I think we're going to I've got a little bit of wind here, sorry. I think we're going to take Indian coffee to the next level now, and it's really exciting for growers. I see a lot of growers here. I'm not sure what the other identities are, but let's have a great session. First of all, let me just give a little bit of background to myself. I've been in India for the last 52 years, and I grew my first coffee in the Palani Hills in 1984. And since then, I've had a passion for coffee simply because I believe that if we do it ecologically, we can save the watersheds and we can prevent pollution downstream. So, but first off, I would like to read out something to you for you to keep a memory of. At the inauguration, we had the Minister of Commerce, the Honorable Piyush Goyal, and he said a very interesting thing in that inauguration, and I just want to read it out, and I want to keep this as a mental note for everybody. He said, "When we address the challenges of climate change, it does not add to our cost. In fact, it makes a product better, more valuable, more marketable, and responsible. Therefore, it is important to practice safe agriculture. without hurting the planet. So I think I would like you to keep that in mind as we go forward and explore this, this adventure that we have from seed to cup and the 19 bar 91 steps that I'm going to take you through as we go on. So when I first, I was in the Palani Hills, and then I got convinced to come as a result of Sir Ratan Tata Trust. They asked me to come to ARAKU. They went on the Eastern Ghats, a non-traditional tribal area. Coffee was growing there. It was the first time I heard of it in 2004. And then I traveled that region in 2004 and saw that the soils were not the same as Coorg or in the Palani Hills. They were quite degraded soils. Coffee was growing, but there were a lot of problems because there was no tradition of coffee growing there among the tribal farmers. But there was enthusiasm. And so I studied the background to it all, and Nandi Foundation first went to ARAKU in around 2000. Manoj Kumar, our CEO, went there on the encouragement of the chairman of our board, Dr. Reddy of Dr. Reddy Pharmaceuticals. And he said, Manoj, we need to go to ARAKU because there's so much poverty there, there's so much subsistence living there, we need to bring them into the economic model that India is going to become in the future. So he said, history will not be kind to us if we don't try. But if we fail, they will forgive us. But they will never forgive us if we don't try. So Manoj went up there and he discovered that the population had one of the highest mother-child mortality rates in the country. And that's saying something. It was really serious. There was a lot of malnutrition, so babies were born and dying in childbirth. There was a lot of mother-child mortality there. And also, there was no schools operating. So that's where Nandi Foundation began. So for 3 years, they worked assiduously that. They brought in the NICE Foundation. Dr. Padmanabhan came in and helped us set up training for midwives. We set up an ambulance service for emergencies. And as a result of that, we got a lot of trust from the community. And then they came back to us and said, look, if you want our children to go to school, we're going to need some cash. And they were very, very practical about it. And they said, we need some cash crop. Can you help us with the coffee? And that's when I came in, 2004, and I toured the region. And then I met Manoj Kumar in Hyderabad, and he said, David, we have to produce the world's best coffee in ARAKU. And I said, Manoj Bhai, that's asking the impossible. I said, I've been there, the soils are not so great, we're going to have to build the soils up, it's going to take some time. And he said, I don't care how long it takes, that's the mission. And so that's when we started to try and do the impossible. And that was the adventure that began in 2004. 2005 and 2006 were a really, really difficult time because we were basically traders. We were buying coffee that was processed by the farmers, and then we would send it to the market. We got a French buyer, and that French buyer was really enthusiastic about it. He said, I'll buy it next year. Next year, we gave the same coffee to him, and he rang us up and said, hey, wait a minute. That's not the same coffee that I got last year. And so Manoj came to me and he said, why didn't we have the same coffee as last year? It still looks like coffee. And I said, look, we're not in charge of the processing here. We have a problem, Houston. And so that was when he said, so what do we do about that? How can we get consistency of cup? So I said, there's only one solution to it. We have to set up a central processing unit. And so he said, let's set up a central processing unit. I said, but it's logistics. We've got to get the coffee to the central processing unit. The roads are bad. Communication is zero. The Naxalites were blowing up the communication towers. There was a Naxalite rebellion there. And a lot of the coffee was not the coffee board was not able to access the remote areas because being government agencies, they were being threatened by the Naxalites. NGOs, we managed to go in with a prayer on our lips, and we obviously survived. And as a result of that, Manoj said, let's do a central processing unit. And I said, okay, but you're going to need $1 million. He said, no problem, I'll find it. You just do the job, I'll get the money. And so that was when the adventure began. We set up a central processing unit. It was inaugurated in 2007, and it came on board, and we started this relentless work of producing quality coffee. Now, I should tell you, when I first went to the valley, and some of the remoter regions that never were told how to grow coffee, how coffee should be pruned, how the shade should be managed, the coffee bushes were like 40 feet high, and there was a few beans on the top. And so I kind of looked at it with my Kiwi humor, and I said, that looks like a new version of high altitude coffee. But it meant that we had to get into the pruning. So we were working at that time in about 300 villages. 300 villages became 500 villages. And then we went online in 2008 with a central processing unit. We had to get professionals to come in. I went to my old haunts in the Palani Hills, and I kidnapped one of my guys that I was working there, Vinod Hegde. I brought him there, and I said, Vinod, we have to work on this. This is a life mission. And so Vinod brought his family, settled down there, and we started the process of teaching farmers what it is to be a coffee grower, what it is to prune the coffee, started planting coffee, started planting more trees. Much of the trees that were planted were silver oak, and being a New Zealander, I didn't particularly like too much presence of Australians there. The Australian silver oak was not something that I liked too much, a little dry, and it didn't quite give the kind of canopy shade and the leaf drop that I was looking for. So we started planting trees. We started planting trees, and we went on planting trees. We're still planting trees. This year we planted 4 million more trees. We planted over 10 million coffee saplings, and on it goes. We have now, so I'm going to take you through these 19 steps. This is open source. It's a source code for planting quality coffee. It's a basic source code which we want to share with everyone. It's not a secret. Every one of us, if you're a coffee planter, you know these things. But how does a small farmer perform these 19 steps impeccably when he doesn't have access to good pulpers, to proper pruning shears, good access to water? And that was the problem. Now, I just want to tell you, this is one of my main... thank you. Yeah, got it. Yeah, this is front. Okay, thank you. So there we were. We started the process, and I'd like to come down to your level a little bit. It feels a bit uncomfortable up on the stage. So there we were. We went on this journey, setting up the processing unit, going on with that, setting up professional, getting all the equipment in, and that was the beginning. So for those international delegates maybe that don't know the geography of the world plus India, that little dot, the little red dot, that's ARAKU. It gives a perspective where we are on the planet, and it'll also give you an indication that we are in 23 countries selling our ARAKU coffee now. It's in big demand in Japan, Korea, all over the world. It's gone to Ireland, it's gone to Russia, it's gone to Canada, to Bulgaria of all places. All of those places that I never thought would buy the coffee, and I'm happy to say It's even gotten to New Zealand and Australia. So how do we do this thing? It's a surprise to me because for me it was the impossible. And let's just take a look at this. Over the course of time, when we got 10 years into the process, we suddenly discovered we had a model. And that model is what we termed as agronomics. And I'm going to walk you through that agronomics model because it's not just agronomy. It's not just about coffee planting, but it's about integrating small farmers into a network, enabling them to grow great coffee. And we should remind ourselves that in India, we have over 90% of the farmers are small farmers with less than 5 acres of coffee. 2 hectares, 90%, that means around about 270,000 farmers are there who don't have access to the kind of things that a Tata Coffee will have or a Bombay Burma. So think about that. We've got this disaggregated vast majority of our coffee growers who do not have access to steady water supply, good quality pulpers, and most importantly, don't have the time to do the drying of the coffee in a professional way. Never mind getting into the curing works and getting all that work done, getting it to the market, have to depend very much upon traders taking that coffee in a cheap way, money lenders, because the trader and the money lender in ARAKU at that time were two and the same. They would loan money, they would take the coffee at their price, and the farmers were getting a pittance. They were getting like parchment coffee, they were getting like 10, 20 rupees a kg. It was criminal. And so we set upon this journey to liberate this small farmers of ARAKU, and 95% of the population does farming in ARAKU. That was something to remember. So they are genuine farmers, and it's a designated tribal development area, so there is no chance that you're going to get an escalated price. They can sell their land and move away. This is their ancestral land. They are there. So putting an effort into these farmers was worth it because we knew that the next generation was going to come along. It's not going to be like in Kodaikanal where the price escalated from 3,000 rupees when I bought some land there back in the 1980s till now the price is like 30 or 40 lakhs per acre. But here, the price of land stayed at the agricultural level. And that was a wonderful thing for us to do. We knew that our efforts were not going to go wasted. So I'm going to talk a little bit, once I go through the 19 steps, I'm going to talk to you about this agronomics model. So just briefly, so that you're aware of what we're doing, agronomics, it reverses climate change because the main accent of it is to put carbon back in the soil. Just as the Minister of Commerce was saying, we've got to deal with the climate change. And what is climate change? It's drawdown of that carbon dioxide from the air into the soil and putting the carbon back in the soil, retaining the moisture, and ensuring that we have sustainability. A much abused word. Every organization now is, quote, sustainable. But I'm talking about the real sustainable. And so that was what it was. It was an agricultural model, but it was also an economic model. And it was also an environmental model. So it was an integration of all these things into a model which we termed as agronomics. The foundation of this agronomics is in 3 letters. And it's not MPK, you'd be surprised to know. Because we are certified organic. Right from the beginning, we were certified organic with the blessings of the community. We're also fair trade certified. So the letters were not MPK, they were PQR. Profit for farmers, not about yield, it's about profit. There's a difference. If you start getting into conventional models and you spend all your money supplying to chemical companies, the profit diminishes and sometimes you go into loss as a result. So we're talking about profit. We wanted to guarantee profit to farmers. And we wanted to, at the same time, guarantee quality to consumers. And at the same time, we wanted to follow the practices of now a much abused word, regenerative agriculture. And I'm going to talk to you in detail about what that regenerative agriculture is. So here we are. When I talk about 19 bar 91 plus, I'm talking about 19 steps that get you to a score of 91 or more. And that was the journey. We didn't get those scores in the beginning. And how do we get to those scores? I added the plus right now because this season we got a score of 94. And that was a great one with us. The descriptive of that coffee was whiskey barrel, a boozy coffee. What kind of a descriptive is that, you know? I'm hoping we get indigenize our terminology in the future, and maybe we can talk about a Soma wine quality, or, you know, maybe a toddy, a tinge of toddy or something like that. But right now, we're into Indian-made foreign liquor terminologies. We get a lot of jasmine notes because the selection 9 that we have, it's got some Ethiopian in it, so we're getting a lot of floral notes coming in, a lot of caramel, a lot of citrus, all of that's coming into it. And as our soils get better, starting from degraded soils over the last 20 years, we've taken those soils to a point where we can say we have good quality soils. Carbon levels have gone up, moisture retention is there because of the carbon, and we can now talk about true sustainability. So it starts, the main journey starts with, as we all know as planters, the bean. So we started a relentless campaign to select the best beans available. Because we didn't have berry borer in the region, we didn't want to take coffee from outside in the Palani Hills or even in Chikmagalur. There's a berry borer menace. We have a little bit of stem borer, but berry borer wasn't there, so we didn't want to risk bringing in berry borer with the seeds. So we started cupping select bushes all over the 7 mandals that we were operating in. That's an area of 2,500 square kilometers. It was a huge area. Each one of those villages, the 1,450 villages, we had to have access to, do the trainings with colleagues of mine. Venkat is here, Satish is here. They helped us set up the farmer field schools to train the farmers and get to the point where we could start having coffee that looked like coffee and not some kind of Christmas tree that was growing way up into the regions. So we cupped mother bushes all over the valley, and those mother bushes we tagged. We cupped them with the cuppers, made sure that the taste profile was true to the variety, and then each year we took the seeds from those bushes, and those seeds, because we gave them the bushes extra attention, the genetic potential, the epigenetic potential grew, and those seeds became more vigorous, and that was the start of really healthy bushes. Then we set out on a very adventurous journey. We teamed up with a group of French wine growers. And they came out and said, hey, this landscape here, you have, like, by that time we had around 4,000 to 5,000 farmers all tied into this cooperative. And they said, you've got so many different localities, so many different microclimates, so many different expositions. Why don't you do terroir coffee? So we set upon mapping every farmer in the region. So you can see up there in the, every one of those marks there on the hill are polygons. They have been all GPS, they've been walked around, GPS. We've got them all tracked from a Google satellite mapping. We know what's happening there. We know, not to the point where we know the farmer went to the field. That's going too far. But we know all those fields. We know the quality of the coffee there. We marked every one of those estates, and that took an enormous amount of energy and personnel going out into the villages every day. I did some of it, but the heroes are my Venkat and my Satish, who are in the audience today. I hope you can meet them afterwards. Satish is here. Full marks to them. They organized this thing, and we went out and we did these landscape studies in detail, checking the pH, getting the soil profiles right, understanding what kind of soils we had, how much clay was there, how much loam, what the soil types were. Did they vary from one mandal to another, from Mujaput, where we get a higher rainfall, to lesser rains in ARAKU. All of those things we did. And we could really say exactly the kind of coffees that we had. Then we discovered that when we cupped the coffees, according to the contours, the high altitude coffees that were under a mixed shade were cupping higher. So we set up a series of SKUs, 6 SKUs, that could show us, that could give to customers the experience they wanted. We had an island which was growing coffee in the backwaters. And we set up a microclimate, a specialty coffee of microclimate on that island. And that, we called it microclimate. I think today you're going to be tasting that. And then we had to deal with this big effort that we had to have with soil health, because we didn't have the advantages of the MPK. We had to elicit the fertility from the soil to feed the bush. That meant we had to get microbes back into the soil. After degradation of those soils, we had to put the microbiology back into the soils. And so we set up these large-scale mechanical composting units where we make over 2,000 tons per season of coffee, of compost. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are organic guys and gals, but there is a difference between farmyard manure and compost. And India is famous for differentiating the two. Way back in the 1920s and 30s, it's over 100 years, just about 100 years ago now, we had an experiment going on in Indore. And there's Sir Albert Howard, with a group of soil scientists, developed a composting system. It was called the Indore process. And not too many Indians know about it. They should be proud of it, because they developed this the first systematized composting system where you overlay proteinaceous and carbonaceous and limes and then inoculate it with microbes. And as a result of that, you get a compost that gives up to 7 times the value of the original composting material. And that scientific composting takes place in ARAKU, distributed to the farmers, and we need approximately 20,000 tons. We're working towards that. We have a second unit coming up. We plan to have 4 units throughout the valley. And so you can see we could never have done that if we had to go out there and make it ourselves manually. But there are fantastic machines available in India, not expensive. Shredders, compost turners, all of those things are there, and we have the equipment to be able to check the temperature. Satish goes out every day and monitors the compost heaps, makes sure the temperature is right. It gets to a certain temperature, it has to reach a temperature of 65 degrees, and then goes down to ambient temperature. When it gets to ambient temperature, it goes out in the field. It's a biological component. It breaks down to soil if we don't put it out at the right time. So all of this biology, we started infusing the entire valley with. And then, of course, we started developing not just the soil microbiome. Now, everybody now, you know, in the health spheres, everyone knows about our microbiome. It's a new discovery. But we have the individual microbiome residing in the human being. We also have a microbiome in the soil. And that microbiome is full, teeming with bacteria and fungi, which are the key, the rhizobials, the azobacters, the mycorrhizal fungi that create a symbiotic relationship with the coffee bushes and ensures that they're healthy, because it's in their interests that they keep the bush healthy. They are getting solar energy from the sun through the carbohydrates and photosynthesis. There's a drawdown effect into the soil with plant exudates. That is the process we set in motion. And as a result of that, we created soils. And everyone, every small farmer in India, no matter what quality of his soils, can do the same thing. And that's what we wanted to share today, was these 19 steps that will get you a quality coffee. As you can see, because it's organic, we have ladybirds, we have praying mantis, and we have these giant spiders all over the place. Thanks to the morning fogs, you can see their nets. I call them the guardians of the coffee, and they keep things in balance. There is no side, C-I-D-E, in our methodology. We've taken it out. And as a result of taking the side out, we don't have any suicides like we have in the Punjab and Vidarbha. So the key to it, make sure all of your practices are safe agriculture. As our Minister of Commerce, to my surprise, we have a minister who's in charge at the federal level talking about safe agriculture. I think there's hope in the future that we can ensure that our food supply starts getting healthy without all the insecticides, the pesticides, and the glyphosate that's creeping into our systems, getting into the water supplies. So here, because it was a watershed, we set up eco services to ensure that the entire region of the Vishakhapatnam area was not polluted by what we did in the watersheds. And then we raised coffee bushes, coffee saplings. The beauty of this model was that we started working in the central processing unit. Every year we were doing about 1.5 million coffee saplings, planting out because farmers got more enthusiastic. We started whatever stem borer we had, we started eradicating it, planting the next year, gap filling to ensure that we got a minimum 900 coffee bushes per acre. The beauty of this model was that at a certain point we realized that we now had to take those saplings and we had to create an entrepreneurial skill among all of the villages. So we trained them on nursery, we got nursery training with all of the farmers so that they could, one or two or three of the people in the village could nurture their own coffee, bring their own coffee up, so that in the future, whenever they would have the knowledge to be able to continue this work, even without our inputs. The training, the sharing of the knowledge was the main thing. It was a knowledge transfer that we did, which had miraculous effects on the community. One of the key things was procurement. As you can imagine, we're collecting coffee from all over the valley, an area of around 2,000, 2,500 square kilometers. So we had to organize truck routes. It was like military precision. And I have to say, that's not my forte. I like to deal with microbes, but I'm not so good in organizing trucks, truck routes, and whatnot. We have a wonderful a manager who looks after that, Miss Anupama Koneru. She's from Andhra Pradesh. She came in, she's an engineer by training. She set up all these truck routes, and we brought down the cost of the procurement by 2/3 as a result of all of that efficiency that we got. But as you can see, you don't see one little blemish in all of that coffee. It's all bright red. And that was one of the trainings we had. What we discovered with our cuppers, we got green coffee, pink coffee, fully ripe coffee, crimson red coffee, and we cupped all of those coffees. And what we found was that the full crimson red, full sugar development up to a Brix content of 22 elicited the best tastes. So we went back to the farmers and said, hey, we've taken away the burden of processing. Now you have the burden of only picking those crimson red coffees. And they did. They responded beautifully. We gave a premium price to the fully red, ripe, crimson red. And as you can see, we get 85% of our coffee is picked fully ripe, sugars fully developed, the beans full of energy and polyphenols, antioxidants, the keys to giving taste, but also nutrition to the coffee. Higher content of niacin, which is one of the things that our coffee gives us, that become optimal. And at the processing unit, we got expertise. We brought expertise into the processing unit. We were able to invest in Brix meters, in moisture meters, in drying. So we get these Brix meters, we test all the coffee as it comes in, we map it. If it's a little bit less, we put it as a separate lot, then we taste it later on just to see how those sugar developments are affecting the quality of the cup. And then it got into zero waste. Because as you know, if many of you will be planters here, you know that you've got a lot of nutrient-dense water coming off. The old style processing units, they take 6 liters of water to process 1 kg of coffee. That means that water has to go somewhere. If it gets into the streams, eutrophication happens. If you have fish in those streams, they die. Algae come in, you get clogged up streams. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to be impeccable in the entire process. So we brought in, as you can see, a Penagos from Colombia. We imported it, a marvelous machine. It's like driving a Mercedes-Benz. It was just so great to have one of those really good machines to come in there. We could do all sorts of adaptations with lots of mucilage, less mucilage. It gives us adaptation with our washed coffees. And as a result of this Penagos, we used 1 liter of water for 6 kgs of beans. So there was a differential of 36 there. That took the burden of having to hunt for a lot of water in the valley if we had a poor monsoon. So that was one of the big steps for us. Then one of the key things that I had learned up in the Palani Hills, we did some experimentation on raised bed drying coffee. No contact with any sort of cement, tiles, any earth-natured things that would give a taint, give an earth note to the coffee. So we invested in non-reactive stainless steel trays where the coffee could dry quicker, but also dry without any taint in the coffee. We ended up getting a consistent cup year after year after year as a result of this, and I think the coffee drying by trays was one of the key things. I should add that in 2004, after Vinod and I in the Palani Hills, we implemented coffee drying on trays. We won the Flavor of India Award for the organic section in the first Flavor of India Award. So that set me on the path. It convinced me that we could really drive quality coffee by these processes. So that's the CPU, the central processing unit. It's like a temple for us now. The land was given by some tribal farmers. There's about 6 acres of land there. We're presently building a coffee academy there where we can train farmers in the valley in barista skills, bring them into the whole coffee stream so that everyone raises their level of standard of living and skills. This is a very important point. You know, every farmer wants to be proud of his crop, wants to feel good that he gives people coffee, and then the next morning he gets a call and says, oh my God, I tasted your coffee this morning, and it really made me feel good. It's something that a farmer feels great about. Coffee growers feel good if their quality of their coffee is rated high because they know they're doing the right steps. So we set up in 2009 what we call the gems of ARAKU. We were searching for the gems coming out of ARAKU as a result of these processes that we're putting in place. Soil getting better, better seeds, better processing, more timely procurement. And as a result, in 2009, we collected around 12 very enthusiastic World Cuppers, every one of them who had gone through the Specialty Coffee Association cupping evaluation and had those credentials. They were also, to our advantage, they were also buyers. So we had Korean cuppers, we had European cuppers, we had Irish cuppers, we had Australian cuppers, and each one of those different cultures had different likings. Some of them liked the spicy notes. The Europeans were more conservative. They wanted, you know, the parchment, not too many surprises. Others liked the cherry, the red cherry, and the naturals, as I should call it. And so as a result of that, we had Sherry John from the US, a cupping expert. She organized this round of coffee tasting to find what was the best coffee. And we could trace that coffee all the way back to the farmers with a series of colored ribbon significances all the way through. So we knew where all of the coffees came. We knew the terroirs, we knew the altitude, we knew the exposition, north, south, east, and west. We knew all the microclimate details, so we could know exactly where that coffee come. If there was a problem, if there was spotted beans, we could go straight to that particular place where we sourced that coffee from and deal with the issue. And then every year we celebrate. I organized an agronomical competition where every month Satish would organize all of the activities for that month, and it would be monitored. And we would go through every month, and every year, every month would get a score for the farmers, who was doing the right processes, who was following the right, how much mulch were you putting, how much compost were you adding, how much of the pruning were you doing, the shade management, how was the health of your coffee, the coffee bushes. And as a result of that, we got another jury, people versed in agronomy and coffee growing, and they came in addition to the cupping, and they went to the farms. We took the 100 best farms, we brought it down to the top 10 farms, and this jury then evaluated those top 10 farms, and then we had a first and second prize for the best farmer and the best village, following all of the 19/91 steps. And as a result of that, there was prize money. So this was last year. We had a group of 5,000 farmers, over 5,000 farmers came and celebrated the year's harvest. everyone likes, you know, we have Makar Sankranti, we celebrate that harvest, and it's part of the culture. There's a reason why we call it agriculture. And that was the beauty of it, was that we suddenly realized that we had invested in this community, they had responded, we were no longer just donors, beneficiaries to the farmers, we were partners. Partners in creating a beautiful story. And it just kept getting better and better. So this is Manoj Kumar, our CEO, addressing the community, talking about the next steps, what we're going to do next year, how many trees we're going to plant, and that inspired everyone to come to this event and just have a good time. That was the main thing. There were prizes given out, generous prizes, like the first prize was like 50,000 rupees. So it was significant. There was a nice healthy competition between the farmers, and we have here one gentleman. Where is he? I'm looking for him. We have here our farmer for last year got the first prize, Sunny Babu, and in Hunkampeta Mandal, he got the first prize, and we brought him here today so that you can see he's a genuine farmer. There's no big story here, everything is genuine. We don't tell stories here, we just do the work in the field. And as a result of that, we also have Vanita here, who is a coffee farmer herself, producing beautiful coffees, and they are there. We also have Chita Babu, who's the president. He's the president of our cooperative. He's a powerful man. He was democratically elected by 22,000 farmer families. So every year we have elections, and every year if they perform, they get re-elected. And Chita Babu is going to be with us for quite some time because everybody loves him. And I'm going to ask him to give a little talk after this so that you can hear from the horse's mouth what he's done, what he feels is the future for the ARAKU coffee. So that's the summary of it. We are now in 1,650 villages throughout that Padero agency area, 7 mandals, and we've touched the lives of 3 lakh people. And as a result of that, we attracted a lot of attention from the carbon groups in Europe who have so many sins, carbon sins, who don't want to buy the carbon credits on the market. They want to do good things, nature-based solutions. So we got a lot of funding to grow fruit trees. And so in addition to the coffee, on the lower lands, we do an agroforestry program with fruit trees. So far we've planted 42 million trees, fruit trees, forest trees, timber trees, and as a result of that, those trees give additional income. We do all of the trees that we grow in the coffee and also outside the coffee in the agroforestry, it's indigenous. We use the terminalias, the mahoganies, the jamun trees, all of those trees that traditionally the farmers were using for medicine. And so we're going to have a forest there, rebuild the forest, so that this traditional medicine can be accessed because those trees exist. The barks that are so commonly used can be used in the medicines in the Ayurvedic tradition. So that basically sums up, in summary, the 19 steps. If you want to know more details, please access our Instagram. We've outlined in detail all of those 19/91 steps. There's no secret. We want to share it with everyone. And if I can say this, we would like to see that every small farmer throughout India can be aggregated into groups and followed, because I can guarantee that if you follow those steps, no matter where you are, in whatever soils, whatever crops you grow, you follow those 19/91 steps, I can guarantee you quality I can guarantee regeneration of the soil, and that is the future. We can have great coffee, we can have quality coffee, and we can put India in the map as a specialty coffee nation. We only have 3%, 4% of the world's coffee, but we can make an impact as specialty coffee growers. So right now I would like to introduce Chitra Babu, and perhaps Venkat can come up and translate for you. He's going to talk a little bit about his experience in the journey. He's a coffee grower himself, and I please invite Chitra Babu. Maybe you can talk. Can we use this? The mic here?
We'll get mine. We'll get one.
Okay. Working? Yeah, yeah. So over to Chitra Babu, and later we have been careful to set aside some time. We're going to be cupping the coffee later, tasting the coffee, but we also want to set aside a certain amount of time for questions. So we're a little bit rushed, and we will have, after that, we'll have Sumanth taking you through the details of our coffee cafe, which is, I invite you all to come to the cafe. It's in Indiranagar, and try the coffees there. It's a whole adventure. There's great food there. It's all organic, so you can eat it without worrying about the pesticides and the weedicides. So over to Chitra Babu.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. నా పేరు టి చిట్టుబాబు. చిన్న మరియు చిన్నకారు గిరిజన రైతుల పరస్పర సహాయ సహకార సంఘం అల్లూరి సీతారామరాజు జిల్లా, ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్. మన సంఘంలో 25 మంది బోర్డు మెంబర్లు, మహిళలు 12 మంది, 13 మంది మగవాళ్ళు. మన సంఘం 1650 గ్రామాల్లో పనిచేస్తుంది. మన సంఘంలో చేరిన కాఫీ రైతు ప్రతి ఒక్కరు కూడాను 19 దశల వరకు పాటిస్తున్నాం. నేను ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేస్తాను.
Namaste everybody. My name is T. Chittubabu. I belongs to ASR district, Andhra Pradesh, Pedabailu Mandal, to the 70 of MAX, the small and marginal tribal farmers mutual aided cooperative society president. And in our board there are 25 members. Out of these 25, 12 are female and 13 are male, and we are working with 22,000 farmer families in 1650 villages. And all our farmers are working with this all 19 steps, what Mr. David is explained.
1650 గ్రామాల్లో 22,000 మంది కాఫీ రైతులు ఉన్నారు. ఆ రైతులు అందరి దగ్గర ఎన్నుకోబడి ఒక ప్రెసిడెంట్గా పెట్టుకుంటాం. బోర్డు మెంబర్లు కూడాను 25 మంది ఉంటారు.
We are all elected through the farmers, all the farmers, where we are working on 1650. That all 22,000 farmers elected us as a board members. From the board members, we elected as a president and vice president, like that.
ఈరోజు అరకు కాఫీ నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ ఆధ్వర్యంలో మన సంఘం పనిచేస్తుంది. ప్రపంచ దేశాలు అనుకున్నట్టు ఆదివాసులు అంటే పోడు వ్యవసాయం చేసి జీవించే వాళ్ళం. కానీ నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ ఏజెన్సీ ఏరియాల్లో వచ్చి సంఘం పెట్టి కాఫీ దాని మీద అవగాహన పరిచారు. ప్రతి రైతు కూడా అవగాహన పరిచి ఈ రోజుల్లో కాఫీ ఒక్క నాణ్యత గురించి మా గిరిజన రైతులందరూ తెలుసుకున్నారు.
As everybody think, all the Adivasi farmers are very poor and growing on pulses and millets only. We are also like that only until Nandi Foundation come to our area. After that, Nandi Foundation is supporting us with this Match Society, and we are all now very well educated by through Nandi Foundation services, and we are all growing a world best quality coffee with their support and their trainings, their visionary.
ఒక్కో కాపే కాకుండా పండ్ల మొక్కలు అనేక రకరకాలమైన పండ్ల మొక్కలు కూడా పెంచుకోవడం అవుతుంది. ఒకనప్పుడు వ్యవసాయం అంటే మా గిరిజనులు భయపడేవాళ్ళు. ఎందుకంటే సరైన గిట్టుబాటు ధర లేక పండించడానికి ముందుకు రాలేకపోయారు. కానీ ఇప్పుడు ఈ కాఫీ దాని మీదకి వచ్చి ఒక్కొక్క కాపే కాకుండా అన్ని పంటలు పండించుకొని మంచి గిట్టుబాటు ధర ఉన్నందున ప్రతి వాళ్ళు కూడా నువ్వు వ్యవసాయానికి ముగ్గు చూపిస్తున్నారు.
Earlier, we, as a younger, older generation, we felt very bad. After that, after their generation, they felt these agricultural things will continue or not. That is their worry, because they don't have that market facility. Once after we getting the market facilities for the coffee, and they are getting good income through coffee and pepper, now, and apart from the coffee, they are growing their fruit orchards with the support of Nandi Foundation. Now every farmer have their own coffee estates and own the mango orchards or fruit orchards. Now they are getting good income through those plantations. Now their next generation is also feel agriculture is a good thing. So then they have that much guarantee. After them, their generation also, they will continue the agricultural things.
ఈ కాఫీ అనే కాకుండా మొదట విద్య ఆరోగ్యం దాని మీద నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ ఏజెన్సీలలో రావడం, అనేక కార్యక్రమాలు మా మారుమూల గ్రామాల్లో నాంది ఫౌండేషన్, ననికలి, నైస్ ఫౌండేషన్ కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తూ మా గిరిజనులకు ఎంతో ఆకట్టుకున్నది. ఆ నమ్మకంతో ఈరోజు ఈ కాఫీ, ఈ అరకు కాఫీ అనే దాని మీద మా సంఘము నాంది ఫౌండేషన్కి ఎంతో నమ్మకంగా సంఘం నడిపించుకుంటున్నాం.
Not only coffee and planting, and the Nandi Foundation is taking care of their girl child education program through Nannikalli program in all the tribal area. Along with the Nannikalli program, they are supposed to look after their health program also with the support of Nice Foundation. So that is the reason we are very much build a trust on the Nandi Foundation. That is the reason we always very closely work with Nandi, and what they are doing anything that is for their benefits and their prosperity and their development.
రీసెంట్గా ఈ తుఫాను కారణం మీదకి మీరు టీవీలో, పేపర్లో చూసుండవచ్చు. అల్లూరి సీతారామరాజు జిల్లా చాలా మారుమూల ప్రాంతాలు, అటువంటి గ్రామాల్లో కూడా వెళ్ళి పనిచేయడం అవుతుంది. ఇప్పుడు దాకాను వంతెనలు లేకుండా డోలి మోతతో ఉన్న మారుమూల గ్రామాల్లో 15 సంవత్సరాలు, సుమారుగా 16 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం నుంచి నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ ఆ గ్రామాల్లో పనిచేయడం, ఆ నమ్మకంతో ఈ సంఘం నడుస్తుందని.
Present scenario is also so many villages does not have the bridges, and this rainy season very much affected. If anyone is feeling illness in their village, they are unable to go to the hospitals. But nowadays this is the condition. 15 years ago onwards, the Nandi and Nice Foundation is working close togetherly with us, giving lot of their services.
మన సంఘంలో ఆడ మగ తేడా లేకుండా సమాన భావంతో సమాన పనికి సమాన ఆదాయంగా ఆలోచన పెట్టి, ఇంతకుముందు చెప్పిన బోర్డులో 13 మంది మహిళలని, ఆ విధంగా ప్రతి గ్రామంలో కూడాను ఆడ మగ తేడా లేకుండా సమాన భావంతో మన సంఘం నడిపించుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది.
There is no gender discrimination in our society as well as in our villages also. That is the reason in our board also there are 25 board members 50% is the women and 50% is the male, like that. And we are giving the same work, same income, same salary. That is also our main agenda in our area. That is the, we proudly say that thing. We implemented that there is no gender discrimination in our area.
మన సంఘంలో ఏదైతే 1650 గ్రామాలు ఉన్నాయో ఆ గ్రామాల్లో ఉన్న కాఫీ రైతులు పండించిన ప్రతి గింజ కూడాను మన సంఘం నుంచి సేకరించి అరకు కాఫీ వారికి నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ ఆధ్వర్యంలో ఆర్థిక సలహా సూచనలు ప్రకారము అరకు కాఫీ వాళ్ళనే మాత్రమే మేము మన సంఘం నుంచి అమ్ముతున్నామంటూ తెలియజేస్తున్నాను.
Where we are working in 1650 villages, there all our coffee farmers growing coffee. That coffee is going to sell to the ARAKU Coffee with the support of Nandi Foundation.
ఈ అరకు కాఫీ ప్రపంచ స్థాయిలో రావడానికి కారణం ఏంటైతే మా నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ సిబ్బంది ఎంతో సలహాలు సూచనలు ఇవ్వడం మీద మా గిరిజనులందరూ కూడా దాని మీద ఒక నమ్మకంగా పెట్టుకొని ప్రతి కార్యక్రమాన్ని చూచ తప్పకుండా పాటించడంతో ఈ సంఘాన్ని నడిపించడం అవుతుంది. ఆ విధంగా ఇందాక చెప్పినట్టుగా ఆ 1650 గ్రామాల నుంచి ప్రతి కాఫీ గింజకు నన్ను అరకు బ్రాండ్ అరకు కాఫీ వారికి నాంది వారి సహాయ సహకారాలతో వాళ్ళకే అమ్మడం అవుతుందని తెలియజేయడం అవుతుంది సార్.
Because always Nandi supported us, that is the reason we always committed to giving hard work to grow this coffee, and we sell to the ARAKU Coffee with the support of Nandi.
ఈ కార్యక్రమానికి కూడాను నేను రావడానికి కారణం ఏంటైతే కేంద్ర కాఫీ బోర్డు ఐటీడీఏ సిబ్బంది ఆ విధంగానే మా సంఘానికి వెన్నుదండుగా ఎల్లవేళలు సలహాలు సూచనలు ట్రైనింగ్లు ఇస్తూ మా నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ సిబ్బంది ఎంతో సహాయ సహకారాలు అందిస్తున్నారు. ఆ విధంగానే రాబోయే రోజుల్లో కూడాను కాఫీ బోర్డు ఐటీడీఏ నాంది ఫౌండేషన్ నుండి ఈ సంఘం ఇంకా ముందుకు తీసుకొని వెళ్తారని ఇంకా ముందుకు తీసుకొని వెళ్ళగలమని నమ్ముతూ మీ అందరకు ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ సెలవు తీసుకుంటున్నాను.
My heartfelt thanks to Coffee Board and ITDA and as well as Nandi Foundation, who is always giving their support to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chiti Babu. Thank you so much. He's been a big support for us in reaching the farthest most villages where even roads are not still there. Fortunately, in the last 5 years, we've been managing with government support to get electricity to those remotest villages, and it's been a big help for the farmers as they go forward. If you see this flagship that I mentioned, about 10 years ago, our angel investors, our trustees, supported us to start our first foray internationally. We established a coffee shop in Paris. So it was that old mantra, have coffee, will travel. And so we established this shop in Paris. It's been a big hit. The French love our coffee, and we're hoping to eventually get something in New York. But right now, it's in Paris. From Paris, people complained that they were not getting the coffee in India. So we took a break. We came back to India. We established a coffee shop in Bangalore itself. Please go to the coffee shop, enjoy the coffee, enjoy the food. We are opening another coffee shop, cafe in Bombay. That'll be opening in the first week of November. It's just behind the Taj Hotel. Try it out when you're in Bombay. It's in Colaba. And check it so you can have coffee wherever you go. You can also get our coffee online. We have a very, very good coffee service now where if you're in the main city, the next day you can get the coffee. We fresh roast in there. So right now I'm just going to hand it over this to our coffee expert in the cafe. This is the critical process. You can create a great coffee all the way up to a clean coffee. Through the curing works, get a clean coffee, look after it, and then you take it to a roaster and you can ruin it. So that extra mile was critical. So we established a cafe which was also a roastery. And as a result of that, we got experts in, and one of those experts was Sumanth. Sumanth came in, he's been in coffee since 2016. He's a trained SCA barista trainer and great enthusiasm for coffee. He also runs a training program for people who want to know more about coffee. We have a training center and upstairs in the cafe. Do drop by there and see it. We want to spread the word how to distinguish what good coffee is, how to taste, how to understand profiles, and he's the man for it. So I'm going to hand it over. He's going to take you through our cafe. And welcome, Sumanth. And he's also a biker. And he loves to drive around, particularly all around South India. And you'll see him on Instagram. He'll be posting, drinking some pocket brew, ARAKU coffee in one of the top of the mountains in the Western Ghats, all the way down to the south he's been. So look him up on Instagram. He's a great personality in our cafe, and we brought him here to just share the enthusiasm he has for the coffee. And over to you, Sumanth.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, starting with the cafe experience and flagship stores, what we started. On 2017, we started first store in Paris. So we wanted to understand how our Indian coffee tastes or what are the feedbacks international market will give us on the international market. So that is the first cafe we started in Paris. So we got a very great response from that. Then we thought of yeah, it's the right time to start in Bangalore. So 3 years back, we started our first store in Bangalore. Sorry.
Other way, yeah.
Okay, so this is the first experience center we wanted to create. It's just not the cafe. We wanted to create an experience center. So we added a lot of elements to make this as a complete cafe. So I think some of you have been visited to our cafe where we have completely designed it into 3 different parts when you have entered the cafe. Yeah, by the way, we are the one who introduced mod bar to Indian market. So we got the first mod bar in India, which was first thing to create experience, visual experience, where barista, when we thought about barista or when we talk about coffee, we think of just a coffee machine behind a barista is working. But when it is, you look, visualize it, it gives you an experience where mod bar, all your modern drinks are based. Then you have something called traditional bar where all your traditional coffees are made. Then we have designed into something called sensory bar where all the manual brewings. So it was not just the cafe where you go and order just the coffee and sit and relax, where in my cafe, yeah, baristas will come and disturb you saying that, hey, I'm brewing you a coffee, would you like to join us there? So this is the way we started to educating the people. So my CEO or Manoj sir says that whenever a person walks into the cafe, when he steps back, he has to learn 0.0005% about the coffee. So that is why we started teaching the coffee in cafe on the ground level itself. And yeah, when David was explaining about the quality of the food, when we talk about PQR in our 19th step, one is quality to the customer. So here we started doing that. We do have serve food and wine in our cafe, where it's a sad example, but we have to take this, because what happens whenever we want to buy some electronic gadgets or anything, we go to the market, we do the complete R&D of that product. But it's very sad when we go to a restaurant, we just look at the menu and we order the food. We never know where is the food is coming from, when the food is processed, is the farmer is profitable. So in ARAKU Coffee, if you come and check, yeah, we tell you that where the food is coming from. We will give you the 100% traceability of what you are eating, how much profitable it is for farmers, how much healthy it is for you guys. So that is what we wanted to create. So we got awarded from Rockefeller Foundation for 2050 Food Vision. That is the step we took it from this cafe. Yeah, then comes OSCA, ARAKU World Specialty Coffee Academy. This is where we start teaching people. So if I want to start speaking in French in India, I need to start teaching French first. Because where in India, majority we speak English and Hindi. So that is why when we started about specialty coffee, we started serving the specialty coffee. It was very important for us to tell the people why the cappuccino and cafe latte is served in 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. Why the pour-overs are only brewed one time, we don't pour again water on that coffee. So these are the elements we wanted to start telling the people, and we got, after COVID, we got huge response from home brewers who started brewing their coffee in their home, and they wanted to understand more about their coffee. So we started this place in ARAKU Cafe first floor, where we talk about different courses, where we do, for the home brewers, yeah, we do teach you. For the people who want to start their cafe or who want to understand their coffee on a particular basis, or they want to have a particular brewing knowledge or espresso knowledge, or they want to understand roasting, yeah, we do help them. So this is the completely education area where you learn about coffee, you are hands-on on the coffee. Yeah. We can look into the YouTubes, you can get a lot of videos, there are a lot of reference. Until and unless you are hands-on coffee, you will not be able to exactly tell what coffee you are drinking or how the coffees are brewed. So on that basis, we started to teach, and all the baristas, wherever they come from, they directly goes to the Specialty Coffee Association level training, or whatever we do, NBC, what we call National Barista Championship, that level of training, they start on it. That is the base for a barista. When barista comes and says that I practice very hard, it's not about practice, it's about his day-to-day job. When he comes to the machine, he starts working, it's his flow. That is what all we cover in our OSCA, how the barista has to be worked. Because all the 19 steps David explained to you guys, yeah, it's all hard work, farmers' hard work. And it will not take 2 minutes for baristas to spoil. And we directly say the coffee is bad. Because it might be the barista who is having his bad day, it might be he's not interested or he's not well trained, he can easily screw up all these 19 steps. So the barista is the 20th hand who makes the great cup of coffee for you to enjoy, and that all the flavors and all the farmers who made that to get into our cup. So that is one what we do on OSCA. And it was very privileged to get a part of ARAKU, where India's first specialty coffee association, America authorized certified training campus we have. When we talk about SCAs, there are a lot of sources for you guys to learn about coffee. But SCA, Specialty Coffee Association, they give you a benchmark. They will tell you from where you guys need to start. There are a lot of knowledge is flowing in, which is always good for us. Wherever we see YouTube videos, we try to copy that, but we really don't know what to do, what not to do. So SCA will give you that benchmark from exactly you can start, then practice and experiment. That is what all about coffee, or experiment your coffee, make the coffee better always. So the beauty of coffee is like when I want to eat a particular thing or a particular dish, there are a lot of restrictions. There might be allergies, there might be like dairy products are there, nuts are there. But coffee is the one thing, it balances out all your palates. You don't like bright coffee, you go for other coffee where where there are different processed coffees there, which balances out all your palates. Whatever palate need you have, you select that coffee. So that benchmark will start from SCA, or that benchmark idea what you need to have, that idea will be given by SCA, then yeah, you can experiment any time on it. Then comes the roast profile. Yes, David was mentioning we have a in-house roastery set up in our cafe where we do the process of order, then we roast. You have ordered on website, we roast, then we dispatch on the same day. That is the process we started, because it's not just about selling the coffee, it's making about everybody to have a fresh coffee. We do light, medium, and medium light, medium dark roast. We are not into the dark roast coffee, yes, because the beautiful work, the farmers, what they have done, and the valley, the altitude, the terroir, it's all makes my coffee very brilliant in these profile roasts. So we don't go on directly on the dark roast. We have different roast profiles, as David was explaining about the microclimate. That is, we do medium roast, where you can get the very beautiful fruitier coffee in your cup. Yeah, I hope most of the people have had the coffee now. Is anybody want some refill? We can do that. That is what we do. That is what we brew. And okay, I think they are still brewing. There are a couple of Drew. There are a couple of people. Yeah. So it's on the way. So these are the hard works. From the farmer, it starts. It goes to its seed. What David said, to start the seed which you are planting, from that seed to the cup what you are drinking. This all the process what we follow, and that is what we want to give it to you, everybody, to have the best cup of coffee, make the coffee best, and enjoy any coffee. There is no bad coffee. As always, David says, there is no bad coffee. We make the coffee bad because of a lot of other reasons. So make sure that you enjoy always, have a good cup of coffee. Try to tell people, explain people what is the coffee, the way coffee drink. Yeah, to add on this, I'm telling all these stories. Till date, I'll not be able to convince my dad saying that stop drinking filter coffee and have black coffee. He says cleanly, you have your fancy coffee, I'll be drinking my filter coffee every day. So it takes time. It's all respect of your drinking palates. It takes time for us to change from one palate, one drinking profile to other drinking profile. So let's start having good cup of coffee every day. David is here, I'm here. Any questions until you get some good cup of coffee?
So just to wrap up, this is what our economics model is all about. It's about a shared value vision for all the farmers of India and for the coffee farmers to create a seamless connection from production all the way through to the customer, so that the customer can have traceability, he can have trust that his coffee is not polluted anyway, and it's traceable. So all of our coffee is traceable right back to the farmer. We have a tagging system. We know which farmer is producing which coffee, and that is the art economics model that we would like to spread throughout India, not just in coffee, but in agriculture in general, because that, in the end, is going to be the new beginning, what Nandi means. It's a Sanskrit word meaning new beginning. We would like to have that new beginning in agriculture, just as our Minister of Commerce, as I said in the beginning, said, safe agriculture, so that our food is safe, so that our children grow up without any pollutants, without any brain damage, with higher IQs, as been proven with all the models that have been tested. That's what we want for India, and that's our vision. So we're going to show you a short video, and then we're going to open to the floor. Fire away with all your questions, whatever doubts you have. We're more than happy to hear them and see what we can answer for you.
And one more fun part here is, like 3-4 years back when I went to Araku Valley and I was meeting Chitti Babu, he introduced me to Twitter. That time I don't have a Twitter account, and he saw us, like we came from Bangalore, we were talking to them and all. He came up with his mobile and he showed me one profile and like, can you translate this to me? I was like, okay. It was Anand Mahindra sir's tweet he was showing me, and he was telling me something to read. Then I realized, okay, this is the high time I need to go on the Twitter. That level, they are looking towards us, they are asking questions with us, they are going towards the natural world that is happening outside Araku Valley. They are reaching to us. Now this is right time or high time for us to make their coffee proud, and the whole world needs to know Indian specialty coffee has that way to speak out loud in the world.
Over to you. Fire away. If you've got any burning questions, we're happy to answer them. Yes, sir.
But you must remember that the key to your success are these tribal people who are farmers, who are farming. With education coming in, how long do you think they're going to be there for you? Do you think your model is going to crash? Yeah.
Great point. We see in the Punjab, everyone wants to go to Canada and then maybe have second thoughts afterwards with the recent events. But what we wanted to do, and that was one of the aspirations of our CEO, was how do we make farming sexy again? How do we interest the future generations to be involved, even if they are educated? So what we've done is we've created a whole sort of landscape of opportunities, not just in agriculture, but beyond agriculture, in terms of GPSing, doing a lot of interesting things, learning technical skills and whatnot within the valley. People don't have to go outside of ARAKU for employment anymore. And as a result of that, if someone doesn't want to particularly do agriculture, although what we find is in the valley, it's part of the culture. So what we're finding is the younger generation wants to be part of that agricultural model as long as there's no drudgery. One of the problems with agriculture is that we've made it a drudgery thing for small farmers. If we can enable them to take away that drudgery, take away having to worry about drying the coffee, and that coffee used to be dried on cow dung floors, stored in smoky attics, so that we could never get a consistent cup. Once we take away that burden, and then we bring back quality compost, which they don't have to make, but it's part of a whole economic cycle. It's part of that regenerative cycle, so that they don't have to depend on those drudgerous things, particularly for women. So as a result of that, much of the time in the 20 years ago, women spent collecting water. So fortunately, once the valley got organized, we had a lot of donors came in like Emphasis and a lot of really great organizations that set up supplies, sanitized supplies of water from the springs, the abundant springs high up in the mountains, so that they had their own water, so they didn't have to spend time going out for that. But one of the things that we also addressed was particularly what you're addressing is the youth. How do we inspire the youth to be involved? So around about 12, 13 years ago, we started a volleyball competition where the youth could be involved in volleyball. And as a result of that, we gave out balls, we gave out nets and all of that, and there was a lot of enthusiasm. And then Venkat and Satish went out into the villages and said, okay, so let's see how many villages, how many teams do we have? And they came back and they said, we have 400 teams, sir. 400 volleyball teams. It went up to 600 teams. We have a women's tournament now. And every GEMS of ARAKU, we have the finals. It takes us around 2 months to do the round robin till we finally get to the finals. And that enthusiasm with the youth, where they can work on the farm, come back, have volleyball, enjoy themselves in the competition, and at the end of the year, we have a volleyball competition to educate them, send them out. Some of them do go abroad, but most of them want to stay within India and work within India. And that's been our aspiration. So I think, addressing your question, I think so far we've seen some wonderful sort of responses where, I mean, I always want to spend time in ARAKU because it's pollution-free. We don't have any extra traffic. It's clean air, wonderful water now. The water supply is great. Who wouldn't want to live there? It's paradise. And not only that, but the housing, there's money coming in from the government, putting in pavement so that we don't have malaria infestations every year, ensuring that the water supply doesn't go murky in the monsoon. all of those things that make life worth living in these remoter regions, bringing those urban amenities to the rural areas, as one of our past presidents wanted to, he started that program. And that we wanted to enable so that the farmers didn't have to go anywhere. They could have a really good existence, get a good salary, good income within their ancestral lands. And so that's one thing, which is a very valid point. It was one of the things that worried us when we started the education programs. But so far, we haven't had a great migration at all. In fact, it's been the opposite. Many of the people that working in Hyderabad, working in Visakhapatnam, came back to the valley and had opportunities there in education, teaching girls. We have an education program for the girls, getting into medical and the primary health care centers. All of those things created those opportunities. So I think we're trying to address that, particularly that one, and we were very conscious of it as we started. And I think as it gets on, I think it'll be more and more, we're going to have migration of a lot of people that are non-tribals wanting to come to the valley. So they can't own the land, so that's the one barrier to it. So we're kind of happy because we don't want a lot of overpopulation. Yes?
His income might reduce by half because we have seen it in the past decades where the prices have crashed in coffee. So how, as a grower, are they going to cope up with that? Because the price of a cup of coffee might never change. But as a grower, how are they going to cope for the sudden shocks?
Yeah, great point. One of the things that I learned about Indian coffee was that in order to address the prices, all the farmers used to pray, all the coffee farmers used to pray for frosts in Brazil, or a flood, or something that would disrupt the coffee supply so that the price would go up. So we had to deal with that issue. So I have to say that the only way you can address that issue is by turning your coffee into a product. When you're buying a can of tomato sauce, you don't go and check how much you're going to pay for that tomato sauce in the market. If the price is low, the price is high, that tin of tomato sauce doesn't vary. So we wanted to create a situation where ARAKU coffee was a product. It was not connected to the commodities market. And so every year, the price only goes up, just as it does in the cafe. Has anyone here ever paid less for a price for a cup of coffee in a cafe? Zero. And that's sinful. Because why should the farmers bear that burden? It's simply because we haven't dealt with it. They're the bottom of the pile, they should be the top of the pile. They're feeding the nation, and we treat them like dirt. And that is something that we aspired to do, was to everything should have at least one value addition. When you get one value addition onwards, the price, the commodity that turns into a product, and you're not subject to the commodities prices. And I think that is the key to address that problem. And I would like to see that problem addressed all over India among all the coffee farmers. If you are getting a quality coffee that Illy Coffee wants to buy, and you've got a quality and they want it, they're not going to say, oh, the price of Brazil was low this year, I'm going to pay you less. Then forget it, I'll sell it to Korea. You know, everyone's looking for quality coffee. Produce quality coffee, then you have something, you have a bargaining chip. And that is going to be the key for coffee growers in India in the future. Sell only products. That is the key.
This percolates down to the farmer, sir?
Yes, because our coffee, the farmers know exactly before the season what we're paying them. And we pay them on the price of the cherry. We take care of all the costs of the processing. They get at the farm gate, they give us the cherry. We pay them 300 rupees for the cherry. Yeah, for the clean coffee. So we pay 50 rupees for the cherry, which translates to 300 rupees for a clean coffee. It's a product of 6. You multiply by 6, you end up with 300 rupees. So they're getting 300 rupees in the hand in the village. And it goes straight into their bank account. They can ask for the money within 3 days, or they can take it at festival time. It's up to them. It goes into their account, and we're able, because we've turned it into a product, because we're able to determine the price of the coffee, we can always increase the price at a retail level if we have a quality coffee. And therefore, we never have to reduce the price to them. They know every time they pick the coffee that they're going to get 50 bucks. With a bonus, maybe, if it's a good year, they'll get 60 bucks. With 60 times 6 is 360 bucks for a clean coffee.
That's very good money.
It's a good money. So we have farmers here who are now lakpatis.
But what about 2 years back? How much did you pay them?
Huh?
2 years back?
2 years back, we were paying 280, 300. We've maintained that price, we guaranteed price, which makes them want to go out and harvest the coffee. So we're able to do that because we have an ecosystem of quality. We can guarantee the quality to the customer, so we can guarantee the price to the farmer. So that is the future. And it's important that we implement this all over in a safe way, growing safe to drink coffee with a premium for organic, with a premium for fair trade. There's many people in Europe particularly, they want the fair trade premium. That money comes back as a lump sum to the community, and they can spend it on whatever they want.
How do you find this as a relationship to international coffee prices? Have you been able to be independent of the international coffee prices?
Yes, we're not at all. We never look at the auctions, because the auctions are independent of us. You know, it's a commodity price. So it's a product, and all of our buyers are all buying. Like, for instance, in Korea, we have one wonderful buyer who's supported us a lot. He's supported us with the Girl Child program. Pil is his name. He's from Seoul, and Pil has been with us for the last 13 years. Every year he comes out, cups the coffee, he sends out his baristas and his cuppers to taste the coffee. Then he buys container loads now. He started with probably around about 20 bags in the beginning. He buys 3 containers now of our coffee. And he doesn't tell, in Korea, the ARAKU coffee is known for its aroma when it's roasted. So he tells no one when the coffee arrives. And then he does the first roast. Then all the small roasters all around, they all flock to his place to buy the coffee because they can smell this ARAKU coffee has arrived. So there's a whole lot of wonderful stories around our buyers, and it's become sort of they're part of the ecosystem. And they support us in whatever endeavors we do, helping in the villages, education programs and whatnot. So it's become, everyone wants to be part of a good story. It's a human nature. And so that's what we've been able to recreate with a lot of enthusiasm in the Valley, with our buyers as well. We have Ms. Anupama and Vinod. They're presently in Tokyo with Sherry John. We were invited there to the festival that's happening there in Tokyo. We'll be going to Korea because our buyers insist on we go there, and we give talks and we talk about the coffee. So it's an ecosystem. And when you belong to the ecosystem, it's like the soil. It's like the mycorrhizal fungi that are attached to the roots of the plants, and there's a symbiosis. We have ignored the symbiosis above the ground. We need to create those networks of support mechanisms. And that's what agriculture should be all about, above ground, below ground ecosystem. Time? Yeah. So one more burning question if there's anybody, and then we'll have to close down. I think we have a next session coming. Yields. When I first went, I should tell you, when I first in 2004, I did a survey of yields, and the average for the farmers was 40 grams. 40 grams of clean coffee per acre. That was how dismal it was. And we assiduously developed that. We planted new coffee and everything, and it's coming up. It's been well manicured and everything. We're getting up to the national average now. And we want to go beyond the national average, but we just need to reach that extra mile. We have logistical issues, we have training issues, but we're going to get there. And our top farmers are making, some of the farmers, with the selling of the pepper, because the pepper is a support crop, some of the farmers are making a net profit of 3 lakhs per acre. Now, any farmer in India who's making 3 lakhs an acre, I know the paddy farmers, if they're lucky to get 25, 30,000 rupees, and they're happy. But to get 3 lakhs, then they go and buy finally they get their motorbike, they buy an auto rickshaw, and then the son then has a job, you know, supporting the village with transport, you know. So there's an internal economy happening where the transport is not coming from outside. The transport is developed within the villages. And there's no overpricing because everyone knows everyone. So that's the beauty of that. So yields, still we're getting there. There's many of the first, the villages that we've the last 2 years, we've taken on another 500 villages. So those ones, we have to do a lot of replanting. Those yields are still low. But we're confident as we come up, as the farmers aspire to be part of that coffee program, they'll look after the coffee, they'll nurture the coffee, and pick the right red cherry for us. So that's the key.
Because we didn't get the yield, so you said the beginning.
40 grams. So we're up to for parchment coffee, we're up to 400 kgs. So with that,
Must be 40 kgs.
Kgs per acre, not
40 grams?
40 kgs per acre.
40 kgs. Sorry.
Kgs.
Yeah, not grams. Yeah.
I thought so.
40 kgs. Yeah. So that's what we've gone. We've gone a factor of 10 times. So I think we have to close now. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for such an insightful session. A big round of applause, please. I would now request Ms. Komal Sable, who's a founder, South India Coffee Company, to come onto the dais and hand over the mementos to Mr. David Hogg and Mr. Sumanth Paranjpe. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Sumanth,